I used to feel like I was always behind, no matter how hard I worked. I wasn't lazy. I wasn't unmotivated, but I was constantly foggy, overwhelmed, and honestly, a little lost in my own head. I knew that I was capable of more, but I just couldn't access it. My thoughts felt slow. My energy was unpredictable. And I kept thinking, maybe something's wrong with me. But the truth is, I didn't need more hustle. I didn't need a 4 a.m. routine or a productivity system with 42 steps. What I needed was a reset, a way to clear the mental noise, rebuild my focus, and finally train my brain to work with me instead of against me. And it worked. Since then, I've earned 2 master's degrees, a medical degree, built a thriving social media platform, and found a level of clarity and performance that I didn't even know was possible. And I'm not telling you that to impress you. I'm telling it to prove this to you. When you train your brain and your nervous system in the right way, everything in your life starts to change. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly how I rewired everything, step by step, so you can start doing the same. Let me be honest. Many people aren't underperforming because they're lazy. Your brain is running 25 apps in the background. Your nervous system is overstimulated. Your default state isn't clear or calm. It's frazzled. You scroll constantly, you multitask everything. Your day starts with input, news, emails, text, and it ends with noise. And somewhere in the middle, you're trying to focus and to be creative, to connect with the people that you care about, and perform at a high level, all while your brain is locked into survival mode. No one teaches you this, but when your system is dysregulated, your output suffers, no matter how smart or motivated that you are. You lose access to deep focus. You make more mistakes. You feel foggy. You feel tired. You're reactive, like you're trying to solve problems with half a signal. And it's not just mental. Your body holds on to this too. You're constantly tense. You're not sleeping well. You're wired, but you're tired. You're anxious, but you're numb at the same time. Does that resonate? And the worst of all, you start to feel like this version of you is permanent. I am here to tell you it is not. Or at least it doesn't have to. This is a systems issue, and that is good news because systems can be rebuilt. So here is what I did to change everything. I didn't wake up one day and magically feel focused, driven, and calm. It took internal rewiring, and I built it through a series of things that I now see as 4 core pillars. These are the exact things I did, and still do, to go from scattered and mentally drained to sharp, grounded, and effective. Let's walk through each one. Pillar number 1. Clear the mental noise. The first step wasn't about doing more. It was about creating space for my brain to function again. Most people live in a state of constant overstimulation. Phone notifications, 24/7 access to content, endless to-do list. You can't perform well when your mind is overloaded with noise. So I started cutting out inputs that weren't serving me. I reduced my screen time by 30 to 50%. I stopped watching content in the background while I worked. I started to take 1 walk a day, ideally in complete silence. You don't need to be listening to music during this. You don't need a new podcast every time you walk. If you want to call a friend or a loved one, I'll give you that one. That's probably a great thing to do. I also implemented dopamine spacing, just giving my brain time between hits of stimulation to return to baseline. Then I layered in intentional grounding practices. 5 to 10 minutes of deep breathing in the morning. Sitting outside with no phone, if the weather permits. You can even try journaling for 3 to 5 minutes a night to clear your brain. This pillar wasn't about optimizing. It was about making space for my brain to finally come out of the fight or flight and start thinking clearly again. Pillar number 2, train your brain like a muscle. Once I cleared the noise, I had room to rebuild my focus. That's when I started to train my brain the way that you train a muscle in the gym. This was a game changer. I used dual and back training, a method that's actually been shown in research to improve working memory, cognitive flexibility, and even raise IQ. But let me be very honest with you. This is not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. It is mentally intense. It forces your brain to stretch in ways that most of us never do. This wasn't a productivity hack. This is foundational. It gave me back control of my attention span. Of all of the tips I just mentioned there, the dual and back training is truly fundamental and foundational. Let's move on to pillar 3. Build identity-based discipline. This is the part that I feel that most people skip. You don't just need habits, you need identity alignment. If you think of yourself as someone who can't focus or who starts things but never finishes, you'll act in alignment with that belief, even if you try hard to change. That's why I hate when people say words like, "Oh, I'm just dumb, I can't do that." You are self-fulfilling that prophecy. You need to start stacking evidence to rewrite that identity. I didn't wait until I felt motivated. I started acting like someone who follows through. Here's what that looks like in real life. One small high-friction task every day, whether that's a call, an email, or a hard conversation. This can even just be that task that you really don't want to do. It probably won't take you that long to complete if you just dive in. But every time I followed through, I'd label it internally. That is who I am. When I hesitated, I interrupted the loop and said, what would the focused version of me do right now? Then I would do it. Start reflecting on these identity-based wins. You're not just checking boxes, but you're proving to yourself that you can become a different person. Discipline isn't about willpower. It's about casting votes for the person that you want to become and then letting the reps reinforce that story. Now let's move into pillar 4. The final shift wasn't just about tools or mental strategy. It's about how I fed the system I was trying to rebuild, because your brain can't run on trash fuel. You need to fuel your brain and your body like you actually respect yourself. This part hit me the hardest once I actually understood it. Nutrition is performance fuel, but it's also self-respect. At the time, when I was eating on autopilot, whatever was fast, whatever was nearby, whatever was convenient, I didn't think it was affecting me that much, until I started cleaning things up and saw just how different my energy, mood, and focus became. Here's what I changed. I cut out processed junk and fake energy foods. All that stuff that spikes your blood sugar, then leaves you in a crash later. Yeah, that's a no-go. I swapped seed oils and inflammatory meals for simple, whole food ingredients. I started eating more high-quality protein, clean fats, slow carbs. These are meals that actually sustain mental clarity. I drank more water, way more, and I stopped abusing caffeine just to feel normal. But more than that, I started seeing how I ate as a reflection of how I treated myself. Fueling your body like trash and expecting it to show up at 100% is like pouring a soda in a race car and wondering why the engine isn't running well. The way you eat is language. It's telling your body, I care about you, I want you to perform well, and I want you to feel good. Or it's telling your body, we're surviving, and that's all you get. I'm not saying you have to be completely perfect. I'm not saying you have to obsess over every ingredient, but what I am saying is that you need to give your brain a chance to function by actually feeding it what it needs to thrive. Fewer energy crashes, more stable focus, better recovery, reduced anxiety and inflammation, and clearer signals from your mind and your body. That is what you're working towards. Your nutrition doesn't have to be complicated, but it does need to be intentional. That's the process. 4 pillars, all simple, but not easy. Clear the noise, train your brain, rebuild your identity, and clean up your food. When you do those consistently, not perfectly, just consistently, you start to unlock the version of yourself that you've always felt was buried underneath that noise. Once I started rewiring my mind this way, everything in my life started to change. Not overnight, not dramatically, but steadily and powerfully. I know you're tired of clickbait videos on how to change your life overnight, and some of that is true, especially for this information, but truthfully, it is consistent, steady work that will make all the differences in the world for you. I can't deliver you this in a clickbaity, beautiful bow, but I can deliver this in a way that will give you consistent, powerful, life-changing advice. Let me tell you how this feels real quick. I wasn't as scattered. I wasn't constantly switching tabs in my brain. I could sit down, focus on one thing, and actually finish it without fighting myself the entire way. And this is coming from someone who had severe ADHD. Then came the confidence. Not fake confidence, but the quiet kind that builds when you trust yourself to follow through. I started waking up without the heavy dread of being behind. My thoughts were faster. My decisions were cleaner. I could have a conversation without zoning out, and I could actually listen to people again. I started performing better in school, in work, in relationships, not because I was working harder, but because I had finally built a foundation that could carry the weight of everything I wanted to do. Over time, the changes added up. I earned 2 master's degrees. I got into medical school and graduated with ease. I built a career where I could help people and create at the same time. And I did it all while feeling like myself again. Focused, clear, present. And the truth is, none of that would have happened had I not stopped chasing surface level productivity advice. This process didn't just help me succeed, it helped me to feel like a whole person again. And that's why I decided to share it, not just here, but through something more complete. Everything that I just shared with you, The noise, the burnout, the brain fog, the discipline, the food, the identity work. That wasn't just theory for me. It was the exact path that I walked to rebuild my life from the inside out. That is why I decided to put it into a book. It's called From Dull to Doctor: How I Rewired My Brain for Success and How You Can Too. And it's not just a story about becoming a doctor. It's about going from feeling like I was barely functioning to becoming someone who could perform, focus, create, and live with clarity. If you've ever felt stuck, scattered, or like you're not tapping into your full potential, this book was literally written for you. I walk you through the exact steps that I took. Not fluff, not hype, just real tools, physical, mental, emotional, that work when you use them consistently. I also cover supplementation, nutrition, meditation, all of the key factors. And whether you're a student, a creative, an entrepreneur, or just someone trying to show up fully for life again, this book will give you the roadmap that I truly wish someone had handed me years ago. If this video resonated with you in any way, the book goes even deeper, and I would be honored for you to read it. You can grab your copy using the link in the description below. I'll add it at the top so it'll be easy to find. And I want to end with this. If this feels like a lot, don't worry. You don't have to overhaul your life overnight. You just have to start sending new signals to your brain and your body. And if you do that consistently, you'll be shocked at how fast things shift. Let me give you a 7-day challenge. 5 minutes of a grounding practice every single day. Deep breathing, silence, or journaling, but no screens. Walk 15 to 30 minutes every day. Not for steps, not for fat loss, just to regulate your nervous system and clear your mind. Clean up 1 meal a day, just one. Real food, good protein, not junk. Practice 1 moment of follow through. That thing that you're putting off, do it. Then say, that is who I am. And then finally, no social media after 8 p.m. You don't need 5 more dopamine hits before bed. Just let your brain exhale. Do this for 7 days, just 7. And you'll feel like you're waking up from a fog. You'll think clearer, you'll breathe deeper, you'll move better. And maybe, just maybe, for the first time in a while, you'll actually feel like yourself again. If this video helped you, let me know in the comments. And if you're ready to take the full journey, grab my book, From Dull to Doctor. It's linked below. It's the system that changed my life, and I hope it changes yours too. As always, thanks for watching. I'm Dr. Matt Jones, and I'll see you in the next one.